Welcome back to another episode of the Dominic Mills Podcast. Coming up, Damian Lillard and Jrue Holiday trade takeaways, and I'm going to be joined by my siblings Austin, Mallory, and Sage for the first ever edition of Life Advice. All of that next, but first, let's blast that intro. The Damian Lillard trade saga is finally over. After a summer of feeling like Dame to Miami was inevitable, even 2K put it in their intro, a new super team was formed in Milwaukee. The final package for Lillard ends up as DeAndre Ayton, Robert Williams, Malcolm Brogdon, Toumani Camara, 3 first-round picks, and a 2028 and 2030 pick swap with Milwaukee. And I have to say, I really like this haul for the Blazers. A front court of Ayton and Williams provides enough size and theoretically enough rim protection to allow the Blazers to go smaller at the guards and wings with any combination of Malcolm Brogdon, Scoot Henderson, Anthony Simons, and if they decide to keep Jeremy Grant, even Jeremy Grant. But they have some interesting pieces that they could trade now or later if they want to focus on building for the future. Just about anybody could be convinced to sign Matisse Thybulle at this point. He's bounced around a little bit. Jeremy Grant just signed that 5-year, $160 million deal this summer, which is soon going to be very tradable. That's, at this point, Devin Vassell money, so just about anybody else can pick that up. They should be able to convince a contending team to send a few picks or pieces over for him. Now, out of the 4 teams that were actually involved in the trades out of this, I think I'd say the only real loser out of the group is the Phoenix Suns. They traded DeAndre Ayton, who has had stretches of playoff basketball where he's looked dominant, as well as stretches where he hasn't. But if we're deciding to keep NBA players based on how well they play against Jokic, I'm not sure who we're keeping, for 3 rotation pieces. And when I say rotation pieces, I'd be a lot more inclined to like this deal if those pieces were a little bit more consistent. Nurkic has been played off of the floor in the playoffs more than once. I don't really expect much from Nasir Little, and before I get into Grayson Allen, I have a bit of a story. So I was a junior in high school. Imagine Lil Dom in Tallahassee, Florida. Grayson Allen was widely known as one of the best high school players in the country. And he was scheduled to come into Tallahassee and play at our rival school. I think it was either against McClay or against NFC. I'm struggling to remember now. Now, everybody was super excited to go see this guy. We were talking about it all week. And I thought I was going to be able to go. But I had a C, so my parents didn't let me go. So this is a message to kids. Keep your grades up. Long story short, he snapped. They won by a lot, and I was sitting at home sick. I would love to see Grayson Allen succeed at the highest level in the NBA. He went on to win a championship in college, was phenomenal in that championship game, and he's had a good career. But in the last few years, when he's been really counted on for a championship-winning team like the Bucks, he struggled. He struggled against the Heat last year, and he struggled against the Celtics the year before. Now, the Suns roster is for sure deeper than it was last year, and they have some interesting pieces. I think if Bol plays well this year, he could really contend and really make things better for them. But is it going to be enough for KD, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal to win a championship? Now, I love this trade for the Bucks. Jrue is a top-notch defender, and I'm sure he's going to continue to be. But their biggest problem since they won the championship in 2021 has been their half-court offense. They just got too reliant on Giannis, especially in the playoffs, and there wasn't really anybody else to give him half-court offense. A Damian Lillard Giannis pick and roll might end up as the deadliest play in all of the NBA this next year. Now, I've got their projected starting lineup as Dame, Malik Beasley, Chris Middleton, Giannis, and Brook Lopez. Now, their wing defense was already a struggle for them last year. See Jason Tatum. But it's going to be a lot worse this next year. Jrue would just pick up the best defender or pick up the best scorer on the other team. but they're definitely going to have a lot more shooting this next year. Now, there are a few questions. How healthy can they be? Brook Lopez and Chris Middleton, two of the most important pieces on this team, they've missed a lot of games. And Middleton has definitely regressed since he hurt his knee a few seasons ago. Now, how far will the defense regress? One of the best kept secrets in the NBA is how porous a defender Damian Lillard is. And with an aging rim protector like Brook Lopez, I'm wondering how many points they're going to have to score a game to get to where they want to go. I do think that Boston and Milwaukee are the two best teams in the East, but I can see someone coming out of nowhere and getting them. Now, no matter how this season goes, I think the biggest underlying reason the Bucks even went after this trade was to appease Giannis, who has definitely put pressure on them in the last year so that they do more to compete, which I love. I want to see the Bucks win. I want to see Giannis do well, and I want to see him stay. Now, the Celtics defense got much better after this Jrue Holiday trade. It was well known that Malcolm Brogdon wasn't happy with the team after facing trade rumors most of the summer. Him and Robert Williams struggled to stay on the floor, and if they compete, those first rounders aren't going to be worth a lot. I mean, 5 out of the last 7 years they've been in the conference finals, but they've only been to the finals one time, and they haven't won any championships. Now, this summer there's been a lot of changes. I assumed that they were going to fire Mazzulla, but they kept him. They sent Marcus Smart to the Grizzlies. They brought in Kristaps Porzingis, who last year was his best year since he hurt his knee, but he struggled to be healthy since then. And they brought in Jrue Holiday, who at this point is the best defensive guard in the NBA, but he's also going to be somebody who puts up a 4 for 18 performance every once in a while. There were some big swings here. Can the front court stay healthy for the Celtics? I mean, it's hard to assume you're going to win the championship when you're betting on getting another healthy season out of a 37-year-old Al Horford and Kristaps Porzingis. And are they going to be able to add more depth to their bench? The top 6 players of this roster are as good as it gets in the whole NBA. But the rest of their bench, I'm not quite so sure on. You could try to sell me on Peyton Pritchard all you want. I'm going to have to see it. Now, out of all of this, I do think that there is one glaring loser for the whole offseason, and that's going to have to be the Miami Heat. This is the 4th superstar in the last 2 seasons that has wanted to go to the Heat that the team hasn't been able to secure. Last season, both Kevin Durant and Donovan Mitchell were linked to the Heat, even though part of the reason they didn't get Donovan Mitchell was because the team was waiting on Kevin Durant and they didn't really have the assets to make the Kevin Durant trade happen easily. KD had his top 2 choices down to Phoenix and Miami, and they didn't make that big a push when he asked for a trade later in the season. Now, the one that's probably going to end up hurting the most is Bradley Beal. This would have been the easiest star to trade for out of the 4 that were available, but the Heat only offered Kyle Lowry, Duncan Robinson, and a few first-rounders for him, and that's not going to be enough. Even though his price went down, you've got to really go up for somebody like that just to make sure that you can secure that deal. Now, finally, this summer, Damian Lillard. Everyone assumed that eventually this deal was going to happen. I mean, 2K literally had it as part of their announcers in the game talking about this trade. At one point, Damian Lillard's agent was telling teams that the only place he wanted to go was the Heat and that he wouldn't be happy anywhere else. But the Heat weren't able to offer anything really substantial. I mean, Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, some picks. It's not a super enticing package when you're giving away the best player, the second best player in franchise history, and Damian Lillard. I mean, I'm going to put some more respect on Bill Walton's name. The Heat also lost key rotation pieces this year. Max Strus, who let's see how he does for the Cavs. I'm not quite sure how I feel about 3 years, $64 million. Gabe Vincent, I thought was a great pickup for the Lakers, but Coach Spo seems to think the team's even more deep than they were last year. But seeing this look that Jimmy's got in training camp, there's definitely some cause for concern. All right, that's enough of me rambling about the NBA. Coming up next, the first edition of Life Advice with my siblings. Stay tuned. Edition of Life Advice, where we read your stories You either post them to the Reddit life advice section, or you could personally email them to me at TheDominicMillsPodcast@outlook.com. I am joined here by an esteemed panel of 3 of my 4 siblings, because Brett, he was a little nervous, so he wasn't on this one. So I've got Austin, Mallory, and Sage here, and they're going to introduce themselves. We'll start with Austin.
What's up, y'all? My name is Austin Mills, and I'm 29, and I work for the Hillsborough County. I work as a program coordinator in the water department, and I help people connect to county water and sewer.
Hey guys, I'm Mallory. I'm 24, and I am a travel physical therapist assistant. Basically, I just pretty much help people get functionally better. It could be like post-surgery, if they have any type of certain diseases, disorders that make kind of their activities of daily living difficult. Yeah.
Hello, everybody. My name is Sage Mills. I am a student at SPC, all student at St. Petersburg College. I am currently studying cybersecurity, and I like to play basketball. I like to fish, and I'm just here for the good vibes. Thank you for having me on, Dominic.
Of course, I'm really glad that we were able to get all of us together. So we're going to start. The title of this one is 23 and Miserable. I hate my job in my life. I am so miserable. I graduated college in 2022 and have been working at an advertising agency. I am scraping by with a $40,000 a year salary. Didn't get a raise when I hit my 1 year. Been here for around a year and 5 months now, because apparently they don't do raises unless you get a promotion, which isn't possible right now considering my team is full. Even though during my 1-year review, my director was continuously praising my growth and assigned me new tasks to handle, I've been kept on the same salary that was offered to me when I was a college student and knew nothing. I have so many student loans. I can barely save any money on this salary because my loan payments are worth 1 out of 2 paychecks a month. Luckily, I still live at home with my parents and have continued to be heavily dependent on them, while I have a full-time job. The rest of my friends have started to move out, and I can't even see the horizon of when I will be able to afford that. I hate the 9-to-5 life. I am overworked and severely underpaid. Felt that. I don't even work a 9-to-5. It's more like a 9-to-7 every day. The entire team expects us to stay on until 7. My director once texted the rest of my team aggressively because we logged off at 6 and wanted to go to the gym. 5 out of 7 days of my week are run by this company that could care less about me. I don't know what to do with my life. I feel so stuck with these student loans, and I am miserable. I don't want to work a 9-to-5, but I don't know what else to do. I've considered going back to school, but taking on more loans stresses me out to no end. My mother tells me to get a different job in this field that pays more, but I hate sitting at a computer screen all day long. I want to travel, see the world, have new experiences, and actually make a difference in people's lives. Not run annoying campaigns on social media that no one pays attention to. If anyone has any suggestions or career options or what to do in this scenario, please let me know. I'm desperate to make a change. So that feels a little heavy. We're struggling a little bit. We're not having a good time. The vibes aren't good. And yeah, a lot of people are feeling this way now.
Yeah.
Does anyone feel particularly called to start with this one?
Should we just do the order of the siblings?
I'm with that. I'll go last. The 3. We'll go Austin, Mallory, and Sage.
Cool.
Okay. So as someone who came out of college just lost completely in what I wanted to do, had to take a job that I really didn't like. It sucks. It sucks. I think what hurt us growing up, and especially Dominic, I don't know if you remember, there'd be people always coming to either Childs or Winford and saying, when you guys graduate, you guys are gonna get a job right the minute when you graduate. And right, sorry, I was a speaker. Right when it happens, it doesn't work that way, and you feel like, oh my God, it was supposed to happen this way. It was exactly supposed to. I now I'm taking a job that doesn't help me pay for anything. So I think the only thing I can give to this just this problem is head's got to be held high. Unfortunately, that is what people have to deal with in this day and age. So I think the more you work through it, you'll be in a better place shortly.
Mallory?
I think there's a couple of things that I was kind of thinking out about just as I was hearing that. But one thing is, 23 is young. Like, young. Like, you're just getting into adulthood. You know, you just graduated college. Of course, I mean, like, the student loan debts are insane right now and are continuously getting more and more expensive. Just living in general is. But I think, I hate to say, like, patience is key here. Patience, networking, too. If you at least like the field a little bit that you're working in, or you want to try to network in a certain way, if you want a higher position, networking is really a big thing. I've had friends who kind of similar-ish kind of situations where they started with nothing, like nothing. They stayed at home, just like this person is, like staying home, saving as much as they can, and just trying to grind it out. Networking, I think, is the biggest thing if you want to grow in your field. I know they also said that they're tired of, being in a, one spot, I think is what they said, right, all day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they don't want to sit at the computer all day. They don't like the 9-to-5 life.
At that point, I would say try something new. I think that there's still assets that you gain from working at a place for a certain amount of time. If you go and look at, Indeed is actually really, or LinkedIn are both really good ways to network and find, different jobs. Just kind of browse around too. But you can, if you sell yourself a certain way, you can really present yourself in a way that you can do a job and someone will be willing to take a chance on you. I've also seen that too. I'm actually one of my best friends, and she right now just started her first company, which is amazing, and I'm so proud of her. But I mean, same thing with her. She grinded for 2 years. Mind you, she has 2 kids, and she's just a boss woman, and she's really working hard. And she, like, literally, like I said, she started from nothing and tried a bunch of different things and networked, and that's what has gotten her here today. So yeah, I think it's still really early. You're 23. I also think don't compare yourself to other people. I think nowadays too, we see social media, and that, everyone compares themselves to whoever, people you grew up with who live up in a, sometimes a completely different state, city, whatever they have, whatever going on. They may not have like the same type of problem that you might be experiencing. I think everybody has their own things that they're going through, and so I think just keep that tunnel vision on yourself, figure out what you enjoy, what brings you passion, and maybe make that into a hobby. That's something that for me happened kind of earlier, with my back. That's how I got into physical therapy. I did a lot of PT for my back, and it was tough, and honestly one of the darker periods of my life. I was really down and depressed about that, and kind of just the things that were going on in my life at the time. And I remember the physical trainers that I worked with, the physical therapist assistant that I worked with, she changed my life and really helped be that light for me when I was, an athlete, and they were like, yeah, you should stop playing basketball because your back is just going to keep getting worse. And, that was a tough decision that I had to make. So, I mean, I don't know, it can be hard. I would just say find what gives you passion and what is going to make you happy and make that into a career.
Like that.
And I think you, I think you made a really good point when you said not to compare yourself to other people. I don't remember who said it, but comparison is the thief of all joy. No two
Yes.
people's journeys are going to be the exact same, and I think that that's really powerful. Once you get past that point of it's me versus me instead of me versus everybody else, it's a really freeing feeling. Sage, your turn.
All right, so one thing I like to point out about this like specific story is about he was still like he just left college. So I mean, you've got professors, you've got students, probably many of his friends that either went to college, didn't go to college. I would ask, like, maybe you could possibly see what they do for a living or what kind of hobbies that they did for a living. If you feel stuck in a certain situation, especially like what Mallory said, 23, that's a young age. I feel like that if you find a hobby that you really enjoyed, like high school, college, I feel like then you could build off of that hobby and possibly make it into a career. I noticed that in the story that they didn't like sitting at a computer screen and they hated their 9-to-5 job. Maybe going to like certain type of conventions, conferences, or communities within their city or division or wherever they're at. I feel like that if they could just explore their options, really, is what I'm saying, is if they explore who they are and what makes them happy in life, I feel like then they'll be able to say, okay, now this is the path that I need to go, and this is how I want to be happy in life, basically.
I like that, Sage. That was pretty succinct. I agree. I think networking, and Mallory mentioned this too, is huge. It's absolutely massive. If for nothing else, pure inspiration. Like, you're meeting other people, you're seeing things that they're passionate about, and it sparks something in you. I know last spring I went down to Miami for a sports opportunity convention that was run by Teamwork Online, and it was a game changer for me. And I met a bunch of friends over there. I've met friends through other events, and it's just been completely amazing, completely inspiring. And my overall advice to this person would be to just grind, work, like do what you got to do, save your money, find something that you're really passionate about, and pursue that. You're not going to be able to make a change overnight, but if you're sitting there every day thinking, oh, my job sucks, oh, my life sucks, nothing's going to change except you're ruminating over the fact that your job sucks and you haven't done anything about it. So it's like it's even worse, because now you're like, oh, I know that this is bad, and I'm continuing to do something I don't like, or I'm not passionate about. And if you don't want to sit in front of a desk all day, advertising's not really a field I feel like you have to sit in front of a desk all day. You can definitely go out, network, meet people, and find something that's going to be able to make you some more money, make you, I don't know. You should always be looking for jobs, even if you're happy in your job. You should always be looking.
Yeah.
There are too many. The job markets are too competitive now. You're able to bolster your resume relatively easily, and you're almost always able to find them.
I feel like there's also like networking as far as like that goes. Once you get people who are, in an area that you want to be at, they can become your mentor, which is amazing. If you ever have the chance to get a mentor, I highly recommend it, because they can just help kind of like mold you into the person that you want to be. And that's also a really great recommendation. And that person is also going to continue to network, and that's going to be a plus for you because you're going to be networking as well. And so there's just a lot of branching opportunities, and it's nice when you have people around you who are like-minded in an area that you want to continue to grow in. So I think that's another plus with networking.
Yeah, I think mentorship is something that I'm surprised that hadn't come up earlier in this discussion. That's a really good point, Mallory. Because you don't know what you don't know. You're only 23 years old. Like, how many other people that work at your firm are way older than you would be able to guide you? Like, I tried this, it didn't work. I did this, it did work. I wish I did this. Like, people have lived life. They've been in your scenario before. You're not the first person to be feeling this way. I know I felt this way many times. But all right, let's
I
move
really
on.
like your
go ahead.
point, Dominic, about especially about like even if your job is like unbearable, then either grind it out or find something different, find something new that makes you happy in life.
Yeah, you got to do what you got to do. If you sit there suffering the whole time, it's kind of like what are you doing? It's like the frog that doesn't leap out of the boiling water until it's already dead. Like,
Yeah.
And like when you're 23, it's like you have so much time to just learn and grow. Like this is the time to do it. I mean, you can do it too, like when you're 40. Like, you can always network that time too. But I feel like a lot easier when you're younger and you have so many opportunities and so much more time to, find something that sparks your joy and that you can find happiness in. And like start a career early on. That way in 15 years, 20 years, you're where your mentor was. And then you can be that for somebody else,
100%.
It's easy to say, woe is me too. So just keep
Very
grinding.
easy. It's a lot easier to say woe is me than to shut up and do the work. All right. So moving on to the second topic, stuck. I, 39-year-old male, have been married for 19 years with 2 children. 6 years ago, my wife cheated on me with multiple men in different circumstances, blaming me that I'd become distant and I was focusing too much on work and school, and that I drove her to do it. She also blamed the behavior on mental illness. I didn't stand up for myself or do anything about it at the time, and after the initial disruption over it, I pretended like everything was fine. In 2019, I met someone and started a 2-year romantic affair. I know it was not the right thing to do, but I was looking for an out I didn't take. In 2021, my wife went through my messages and discovered a text with the other woman. The last 2 years have been incredibly painful, with me being on the receiving end of multiple instances of physical and emotional abuse, both behind closed doors and in front of the boys. I try to get away from her in the house, but she follows me, bringing the argument to wherever I go, kids present or not. I work from home, and this type of interruption is a constant fear. One moment, everything is fine, with intimacy and normalcy, then the next, she flies into a rage. Recently, she has taken to telling me to move out anytime we have an argument or she gets mad about something, but the next moment, everything is back to being fine. There are other elements of the situation that are really bothering me. There are things I'm not allowed to do, which has shifted over the last 2 years, but focus on controlling what I do, who I can talk to, while she continues to go out with her friends for drinks or dancing. There are other things like financial control, she doesn't work but controls the money, keys to the vehicles, etc., that are making me feel very emasculated. I feel like I live in a bad version of Groundhog Day. I haven't seen that movie. I don't know if you guys have. I know that I'm not happy. I know that she isn't either. I can't bring myself to leave. The kids have told me they would probably come with me. Kind of weird that you're already discussing this already. But I don't take action that would improve the situation. I just stay in analysis. I don't know if I'm afraid of the change or if I'm afraid of disrupting the kids' lives more than it already has been. My mental health professionals tell me to take action, give me homework as such, but I always find myself stuck. So, this one's a bit of a doozy.
My blood is boiling.
This one's a bit of a doozy. Sounds like this man's married to a monster. So, who wants to start?
Crazy situation. Crazy.
I'll start.
Let's go in
start.
reverse. Let's go in reverse order since Sage went last time.
That means
go first this time.
Oh, okay.
First of all, oh my goodness, let's just take a breather from that. Nah, but like,
first one, we gotta come ready. We gotta come hard.
that is, I feel like they could use some counseling, serious counseling.
Hey, he says my mental health professionals.
Hey, if it's becoming a physical altercation in a relationship where you have children and you're doing it in front of children, what kind of mindset is that going to put on the kids?
Major.
So, like, I think that they need some serious counseling. If they want to be there for each other for the long run, they need to go to couples therapy. They need to figure out why there's butting heads, why she's cheating on multiple men, why he's not allowed to go out of the house and hang out with his friends, because it seems like, well, this is one side of the story that we're hearing from, but it seems like she is being very manipulative in their relationship, like very manipulative. Like she's able to do stuff he can't. He can't not be at work and school. He's got to come home. He's got to spend time with her, and that's her excuse for cheating. Which there's no excuse for cheating. No excuse, especially when you've been married for 19 years. No excuse. No excuse for cheating. That's a sticky situation, in my opinion. They need counseling. Sure. They need counseling. And if that doesn't work, it's time to pack your bags. It's time to pack the bag.
100%. All right. Go ahead, Mallory.
So that is a lot to unpack. It sounds very messy. From his point of view, it sounds like she has the narcissistic tendencies to blame her wrongdoings on him, because in a relationship, in a marriage, you shouldn't be adding anybody else to the picture. If you have an issue with your significant other, you talk about it with your significant other. There is no reason, and this even goes for venting to your, like, even if she didn't, like, cheat, but if she talked to, let's say, just for example, that she didn't actually sleep or, kiss or, have, like, any, romantic cheating, if she didn't do any of that stuff. If she just vented, I feel like adding, especially a guy, to your relationship, no. That's a no. And that's just my personal opinion, because with your relationship, it should be between you and that person. Your fights, nobody else needs to know about that. Nobody else needs to know that you have issues in your marriage and that so-and-so is doing X, Y, and Z, and that you just want to get out and you just, want to find out what else is out there. There's zero reason in any scenario that you should cheat on your significant other, regardless. And that goes for him as well. I understand with, everything, the trauma that came from the cheating that she did, and how he probably felt emotionally left in the relationship as well, physically left in the relationship and hurt. There's so many trust issues there, and it's hard to come back from that when it's that person doing it that many times, or that person just doing it in general, to then go and have an emotional relationship with somebody else for 2 years as well. I think there's both sides where you guys need to just figure out why you guys are going to be together, if you want to be together, if there's a chance to save what you guys have going on, because you guys got married for a reason. There was obviously something there, the trust was there, whatever. You felt like you could grow in life with this person. But it gets to a point where, life things hit, and the fact that, you just need somebody who you can go through life with, like hard times, the highest highs, lowest lows, and that person's going to be there to support you the entire way through everything. And you just need to figure out if that person is worth it when these things happen, because you can help heal a relationship after there's cheating. Some people do it and it works great. Some people try to make it work and it doesn't, they get divorced and that sort of thing. But that's a lot. And I feel like for me, if it's like one thing, like you gotta go. And it's hard, but you have to figure out if that's the person you want to heal with and grow with and continue to figure it out with, or however, counseling, therapy sessions together, not just by yourself, but together. That way you guys can figure something out. You guys can really hit, the hard stuff that is hard to talk about with that person, and just let it out and figure it out and have someone there who's a professional to mediate all of it too. But that is a lot. Austin, you go ahead. I'll stop talking. Keep going on rant.
No, I don't have anything. You guys basically said everything I was going to say. There's so many thoughts that are just going through my head as Dominic was talking, as Sage and you were talking. I feel like this particular relationship, boundaries were never set in the beginning, which I think you have to have that. And I can't. I feel like none of us obviously can put each other in his shoes, but I know I would be going to counseling, trying to mend whatever we could. Not wait until you hear about all these other men, but right at the beginning. And she keeps on doing it, and it's becoming even more physical and more arguing, and it's getting in front of the kids. I feel like, unfortunately, yeah, you do have to give it up. I don't think any one of us would want that, obviously, but like Mallory said, you want to grow with someone, especially through the hard times, because that just shows how together you two are. And if you can't grow, then that's a problem.
Yeah, and granted, I have the luxury of being able to read it in front of me versus you guys just hear me say it. But he literally says in there, I was looking for an out. I don't think he wants to be in this marriage anymore. I don't think that there's respect in this marriage either way. He's saying, I was looking for an out with the affair. He's talking to his kids about, if we get divorced, are you coming with me? Like, what?
Sorry, I think
I can't even imagine. Like, it's, you can, and she's in charge of the bills, but she doesn't work. Has the keys to the car. Like, what does that even?
Okay.
What does that even mean? Like, honey, can I go to work now? Like, what?
Babe. Okay, yeah.
Like, there's no respect here.
Being black.
Yeah, no, there's no respect here. And granted, like Sage said, we're only reading one perspective here, and two wrongs don't make a right. But
nope.
True.
There's a lot of wrong on one side, and granted, I think with kids it muddies any situation. And you guys know me. Anytime there's like a problem like this in a relationship, I'm just like, all right, wipe your hands of it. You're done. Like,
you gotta give
but like if that's the mother of your child, you have to have a relationship with her. You can see counseling for maybe how you guys co-parent together. But I think the relationship is sailed. Like in any relationship,
He
there
works,
needs to be
right?
a mutual. Yeah, he works and she doesn't.
Goodbye.
And then
She doesn't work. Bye.
Right, but then
He doesn't want to work. Bye.
Like, you gotta have some respect for the children. If you're not doing, you said that he wasn't doing that, but always behind closed doors, right?
Yeah,
that they weren't
them,
always,
like if they were gonna have it out behind closed doors, and she just
that
was
means
not.
have some respect for the children.
But also,
if you're doing it in front of your kids, that's trauma to your kids, and also like that's okay. I could go on a whole rant with this.
He mentions in there that she has a mental illness of some sort, and that she blamed this behavior on mental illness, and that's just that's a horrible excuse. So we don't know the factor that plays in this, but
especially if
there needs to, even if he has a desire to keep a relationship with this woman, like there needs to be a separation of some sort.
Yeah,
like they
can
maybe see what they do in a few months, and they could try to reconnect and see what's going on from there. But
and
at this point,
she
there's
has to
absolutely
help
zero.
Herself.
Yeah.
If she knows
she loves herself, if she loves herself some men the way that he's saying that she does.
Right. I'm not gonna say it's. I know I said it was a cop out again. I don't want, because I'm obviously a mental health advocate, but
yeah,
you get
like,
you can't use that.
something that feels as manipulative as this reads, at least. It kind of feels like a comment, but granted, we have no idea the situation.
Yeah, coming away from this story, I wish I could hear the girl's side, the wife's side of the story. I wish I could hear her side of the story, just so I can get a better picture on why she's doing the things she's doing and possibly what he could be doing. Because knowing sometimes men can falsify some of their stories. I mean, it's not always true. That's coming from me. But, I mean,
about it.
You don't know if that story, if that guy is leaving something out or if it's 100% fact.
Yeah.
But just from what we're reading. All right. So next topic: social life change. I'm a 23-year-old male, and I want to stop drinking and my casual drug use. But the social life I currently have supports my current habits. My friends and I are all big partiers. Then they have written in here, not sure that's how it's spelled, so that's what we're working with. But they are more into drinking, whereas I will use drugs such as Coke if it's present. I don't know about you guys, never tried the booger sugar, not interested. My friends have worried about my use of Coke, but whenever I drink, I always find myself talking to random people at the bar or the club. This is my favorite part about drinking, is talking to people you normally won't and seeing what you can learn from them, like where the booger sugar is. But the problem with it is I always eventually find some people with Coke or some other drug I can't seem to say no. What I'd like is some advice on how I can still have those interactions with people. The whole talking to strangers and having interesting conversations with them without having to go to bars or clubs. I completely understand that I will most likely have to quit drinking because even though I don't have a drinking problem, I do have a problem with drugs that I'd only take while drunk. Maybe that is the definition of a drinking problem. Whenever I do Coke, I feel really alive. Way more than I'm sorry, I should have probably read these a little bit more before I picked them. But I feel like I'd have a more fulfilling life if I was sober. What types of hobbies and activities should I pursue in my free time that could be done with others to stop my substance abuse? Whoever feels called, that one should do.
Okay. Damn, where do I start? So, for that, I would completely stop drinking. You got to. Because if one thing is leading you to do something even considered to be worse, it's a no-brainer. Like, I know it, and it probably sucks, because, yes, that's... When you drink, it opens up conversation with others. Like, it's just natural. At the same time, though, if you know you shouldn't be doing something, and it leads to something else, I mean, it's obvious. I just... It'll ruin you in the end. It's pretty clear. Like, drinking can open up a whole world to unknown, and yeah, I think it's pretty obvious. You have to stop drinking, and you can fill that time with just reading, like hobbies, like lifting, exercise, just anything that's going to help you,
Okay.
I agree. I think. Sorry, were you gonna?
No. Go ahead.
Okay. I think I agree with you, Austin. I think that starting with, I think it's great that he noticed that he had a problem.
Oh, yeah.
And that he is seeing that he has patterns with, okay, I'm gonna drink, but then I'm gonna do cocaine and hang out with a whole bunch of people. First of all, there's plenty of other ways to find and meet new people, like trying new hobbies and keeping yourself busy. I think what is it, like chewing gum is what like smokers do. I know it's two completely different things as far as like how harsh it is, but still, like, you can find things that will keep you busy and like stimulated, that is also bettering yourself too. I think it's great that this person noticed that he had the problem and he can see these patterns, and because that'll prevent him from going down an unfortunate path, because I mean later in life, because how old was he again, like 20 something?
23.
23. Okay, very young. same type of situation with that first story. As far not doing drugs, but like age-wise.
I was gonna say, I don't know if it's the same situation.
Which story did you hear?
The first person's like, I'm making $40,000 a year. I don't know if it's enough, and our current guy is just like, I can't stop doing drugs.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, because he's young.
Okay.
That was my point. Sorry. Because he's young. Realize that he's going to keep himself from going down a bad path, rather than in 10 years he's still doing it, but now he's very addicted to the drug, and that's the only way he can function, not only in social settings, but let's say, for example, in his job, and he starts coming in messed up because job is stressful, or later in life when he's got other things that are stressful in his life, maybe not with work, but like personally, like family wise or whatever, and he gets himself into trouble, or there's like some type of bad accident situation, whatever, he starts getting into harder things, like I don't even know what's harder than cocaine. I don't do drugs, but or be around people who do drugs, but like I don't know, heroin or something like that. And you get down that addiction path, and like you go halfway through life, and you don't know how to function as a person. So I feel like it's good that he's able to recognize that early on and be like, okay, I'm gonna try this, and this. So I'd say just keep busy and figure out what other things can bring you a little bit more focused on other things that will help mold you into a good person and down a path that you want to go down.
Yeah, I think something that's important to mention, like we're saying, we're glad he's talking about how he thinks he has a problem. One of his sentences in there is, "My friends have worried about my use of coke." Now, I'm just imagining, if you're 23 years old and your friends are worried about how much coke you're doing, he's very much understating how much coke he's doing.
You have a problem. If your friends are pointing out, you have a problem.
Yeah, like if your friends are usually the last ones to let you know, like, they. And he's like, my favorite part about
that you're meeting at the bar.
Yeah, he's like, my favorite part about drinking is talking to people you normally won't and seeing what you can learn from them. I imagine him as like the guy, you're at the bar, you're drinking with your buddies, you're having a good time, and then this random guy walks up to you, taps you on the shoulder, you guys like crack a joke about something, he's like, hey, you know where I can find a little bump? And then you're just looking at him, you're like, what? Like, what are you talking about? He's like, the booger sugar, something like that.
I got four words for him and everybody listening. Say no to drugs. That's the end of the line, end of the story. If your friends are pointing out that you have a problem, that's case closed. Case closed. And if you have a problem, it's okay that you have already identified that you have a problem. Now, then that's when you lean on the people that are closest to you, like your family, your friends, people that you can relate to on an emotional level and a mental level, and lean on them and tell them, hey, I've got a problem. Can you help me with it? And I found out that leading to doing that, especially leading on family members, can really, really help you in the long run. And getting rid of a problem, getting rid of an addiction, it not even just in his example, cocaine, for example, even if it's any type of problem, leaning on your people that are closest to you can genuinely help you become a better person, become even healthier. At 23, you're not supposed to be doing that at 23. You're not supposed to be doing that in general, but even at 23, you're too young to be doing that. It'll only make more problems than help you. He does say he feels alive, but it's temporary happiness. Drugs only give you temporary happiness, and in the end, the side effects come in, and then that's when the dangerous usage of you doing that, especially since he has a problem, dangerous usage of that can really negatively shape how your life is played out.
100%.
It'll be like an avalanche just rolling down a mountain. It'll start slow, the snowball will start snow, and then it'll get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and then eventually it crashes.
Yeah,
I like how you mentioned that because I forgot about that part too, that he feels alive when he does it.
Yeah, that's like the biggest red flag I've ever heard
Right,
in my
that's a
entire
big
life.
red
I
flag.
feel
At the age of 23, you're not supposed to feel
That's-
alive off of drugs. You're supposed to feel alive by being alive. You're supposed to
Yes.
by being living, by breathing. That's how you're supposed to feel alive at that young age. Because from age 20 to 35, that is the prime years of your life, and that's when you're supposed to be thriving in your life, going and finding what you enjoy in life and making it a career and making whatever you want in life. Those are the prime years you are supposed to be becoming a better person, and I feel like that doing what he's doing right now is it's only going to lead to negative results.
Yeah, well, when I read this, I feel like this is a person that's lost. They don't really have any idea like what they want to do with themselves, what they want to do with their lives. They're just kind of like all I can really think about is going out to bars and meeting and talking to people, which is kind of like a weird thing. Like, that should just be like something like, you not like you do drugs every once in a while, but like you go out like every once in a while, like you're out like meeting people, stuff like that. But like, you should find something that like you're really passionate about and that brings you joy, that makes you feel alive when you're sober. Like,
Yep.
Whether that's like reading or whether that's like you're really into TV shows and you want to be somebody that like watches every TV show that's ever been made. I don't know, like, there's different experiment, find hobbies. Like, you can find something that's like so fulfilling. And he mentions, I feel like I'd have a more fulfilling life if I was sober. It looks like somebody who's looking for purpose.
Yeah, you don't need to go to the bar to talk to people, because he says he goes to the bar to talk to strangers. You don't need to do that. You could talk to people and meet people by
anywhere.
Let's say really anywhere. Like how you, Dominic, or you, Austin, and Brett do the Tampa Bay Club Sport Basketball League. We meet new people, and we've met some great guys doing that. Like you don't need to go to the bar. Guys we would have never even have known if we didn't do that. It's just find something you enjoy doing, and then find people in your community that enjoy doing that exact same thing. And that's how you meet new people.
Exactly like we were talking with the... Sorry, Matt, go ahead. Or actually,
No,
let
it's
me finish
okay. Yeah, go ahead.
When you're going out and you're looking for people that are like-minded, you get inspired and you find something like, even if it's not the exact same thing, you're like, like this person's doing this, like I like I enjoy like the passion that they have for this, and it's like like I wonder what I'm passionate about. Like, even if you don't know, even if it takes you forever to find out, like do what you got to do, figure it out. Like, I don't know, I feel like I've said like 100 times there, but
no, and just to like piggyback off of what you're saying, Dominic, too, being around people who are like-minded, I'm a super advocate for that. But also him going to the bar to meet people and drink and do cocaine, I think a lot of times too, not saying that people go to bars to do that stuff, but I think sometimes like when people go to the bars, they're just got off of work, or like it's like, oh gosh, it was a hard week at work, or oh gosh, it was a hard day at work, and man, it's been a lot of hard days. And I wonder if maybe he's also trying to find people who are also feeling what he's feeling about maybe not feeling alive or uninspired in life and just wanting to feel alive. And it's like, hey, why don't we go do this and feel alive? Kind of like that extra like zing, so just to give them that like that feeling of like feeling alive. But I think that it's really what is important about life and just the beauty of life is that living isn't just happiness. I think that there's times in life where you hit a point where it's like, man, like you're going through a hard time, like a depressed period in time. And, I think once you get past that, I feel like you can look back and be like, man, that's like the beauty of life. Like I grew through that process and now I'm here. I think that's another important thing to remember and take away from this story or this, this guy's situation too, if you can't relate like drug wise. and maybe you're dealing with mental health too, is just that life isn't all rainbows and butterflies. It's not meant to be. It'd be too easy. So I think it's important to realize too that there's moments in life and phases in life where it might feel ugly and low and sad. But that is the beauty of life. To grow through those times.
You make a really good point there, Mallory, because if life was good all the time, we would be miserable. We would be miserable if life was good all the time. I'm not sure if you guys have seen the show The Good Place. I think Mallory, you've said you've seen it?
Yeah, I've seen bits and pieces. The episodes I've watched with you.
So at the end, this is a spoiler warning this is a spoiler warning to anybody listening. At the end, the whole show is about reaching, the good place. Like, it's easily perceived as like heaven for us, hell for people that are bad. The people that are in heaven, it's like perfection all the time, and they get to this point where they're just like, I'm tired, I'm ready for a final rest, if that makes sense. It's perfect all the time, and nothing is perfect all the time. Not quite sure the exact point I was trying to make with that. I'll probably cut that out, but we'll see. Now, Sage asked me to include this before we close things out.
Yeah.
He said that I'm always asking everybody what their favorite conspiracy theories are when they come on the show, and it seems like he has something that's on his chest that he's ready to talk about. So while Sage didn't know this was coming, Austin, Mallory definitely had no idea. So Sage, you are going to go first. What is one conspiracy theory you believe to be true?
Can I say 3 and give a small brief
3?
It's a small brief.
Locked and loaded.
Well, two. But it's 3, but 2 that are encompassing each other.
Okay.
All right. So the first one, it's already solidified. Aliens are real. It's. I'm telling you right now, as a person that enjoys space news, I used to be vice president on an astronomical society in Tallahassee. I'm telling you right now, out of all the years of learning space, there's not a shot that aliens are not real. I'm telling you that. Now, whether or not we have clear footage of that is another story, but if you look at the entire universe, for an example, we are not even in scale an atom size compared to the entire universe. We're not even an atom size compared to the universe. We're incredibly small. You're telling me that out of the entire universe, that we are the only thing that holds living life? That's hard. That's too drastic to say that is the case. I was looking at a video the other day of this teacher put a video on for the class. I think it was a science teacher, and it was comparing sizes of objects in space, and it was the Earth very little, then the sun big, then stars even huger, then stars bigger, then it was galaxies. It just kept getting bigger, the universe is too big to not have life, to not have life outside of humans. It can't be. It just can't be a factual statement. All right, and my second conspiracy theory, and I want to hear what Austin's reaction is to this one. I believe that the NFL and the NBA are somewhat scripted. I believe it is somewhat scripted.
Oh, they're mad.
I believe it is somewhat scripted. I believe some of the events that happen are outside of how, for example,
If he says the 3-1 Cavs come back, I swear.
I don't even think he was thinking that. Go ahead, Sage. Keep saying. Keep talking.
I mean, it could be an example, but what I'm saying
No.
is like,
Oh my God.
what I'm saying is like the. You can't tell me that, like, or well, okay, you can tell me. But what I'm saying is that it's just a conspiracy theory. I believe it. I think that after reading like and viewing many different videos and reading some, and mind you, I don't believe. I mean, like, I don't believe it's 100% true. I think it's partially scripted. I didn't say it was fully scripted. I think it's partially scripted. I feel like some of the narratives
Be
of
specific.
teams, like.
So was Nick Chubb's injury
Wait a second. No,
scripted?
that's
No,
different. That's
like
different. You
certain
can't
events,
script an
certain-
injury.
Yeah, you can't script an injury. Certain events like that, no, I don't. The 28-3
Are you saying like
comeback for
things
Tom
like
Brady.
the frozen?
The 28-3 comeback for Tom Brady, I believe, was scripted.
I don't know. Did you see that video? So here, wait a second. So did you see that video of? So Matt Ryan is who was the quarterback of that Falcons team, Mallory, that had the 28-3 lead and lost. He is an announcer now, and a few weeks ago, there was a game, and they were talking about it at halftime, and they were like, the scores, I think it was like 10-5 or 10-3 or something like that, but it feels like it should be 28-3. And Matt Ryan had this look on his face like, how dare you say that to me right now? Like,
Yeah.
like how I don't know. I think there are certain moments like the NBA draft having a lottery. I don't know why I said lottery.
Another
for the
one.
number one
Thank
pick.
you. Another example.
That would be the one I'd be like, maybe, but I don't know. Like it's I don't know. I wouldn't say that it is.
I don't mean like game for game. Like, okay, here's how the game's gonna be played out. Here's how your game's gonna be played out. Here, I don't think that's the case. I think it's like the whole narrative of like, okay, this team is gonna be a contender this year because this event happens, and this event happens. I don't think it's like game for game. Like, I think it's like a few events that happen through the season are examples of why, like, for example, the NFL, of why I believe it's partially scripted, and I feel like it's just, I don't know. It's hard to explain. I just think it's hard.
I get what you mean. It's a fun theory to believe in, especially like when you see things like the Lakers free throw differential last year. Like they had like, I don't remember what the exact figure is. It was like they had attempted more than double the amount of free throws that any other team had attempted. But I don't know. It's going to be something that's hard to prove, and there are things like Eric Lewis, the NBA official this year, who got caught with the burner Twitter account saying that like
hilarious.
he sometimes cheated and helped the Celtics win, and now he had to quit because of that. But I think it's an interesting theory to have. I pray it's not true.
Hey, let me ask you a question for that. Do you think that refs should be fined for their egregious calls?
I don't think that they should be fined. I think they should be held accountable. Like if you're
Like
routinely making bad calls, you should be able to referee fewer games. And like the best referees ref either A, the most games, or B, the most important games, and it should be reflected in terms of how they're paid. Granted, I don't know if I know that's how it works in terms of the best referees get to ref the biggest games in terms of both the NFL and the NBA, but if it is scripted like you say it is, that would be the first place I would look. Like, how well can you dictate a game? And there was actually a documentary about I can't remember his name anymore, the guy that got in trouble a few years ago and actually went to prison for fixing games and betting on them in the NBA.
Yep.
I don't remember what his name is either. But all right, so Sage, is that it for your conspiracy theories?
That will do it.
Austin and Mallory, do you have any right off the cuff?
Austin, you can go first.
Okay. So obviously, yeah, I think aliens are real. Sage's point, the universe is massive. We can't be the only ones here. We can't. I think it's silly to think that humans are the only living species. Well, obviously other than animals on Earth, but it's the universe is too big, man. It's too big. There has to be a lot more out there. A sports one.
Wait, Austin. First, now I want to ask you this: if you think there are aliens out there, do you think they've been here?
Yes, without a doubt.
Okay. Now, if you think that they've been here, do you think that we know that they've been here?
Somewhat, not to the fullest extent. Not to the fullest extent.
What is? Because if we know that they've been here, what would that mean?
So I think they've kept it from us from older generations from freaking out, like in the past. Like, I mean, I would, because we don't have the technology to prove that. I mean, back then. Sorry, not now, but obviously now. But back then, we didn't have smartphones. We didn't have stuff that can actually prove it. Yeah, I just think they've kept it from us. Not really like kept it, but kind of just didn't say anything. Yeah.
Because something I think of a lot of times with aliens, as much as I want aliens to be true or be real, if they've been visiting here before, the technology we have now, there's no way that we don't know. Like, satellites now are capable of reading your license plate. Like, if they're able to do that, there's no way we don't have clear photo and video evidence. And if we do, I don't know why we would be hiding it.
Public safety.
But sometimes I think that they let us think that aliens could be real and that they're hiding that they could be real, and instead some of the things that we see that are UFOs or UAPs now are really just super advanced government technology that they don't want other countries to know that we have.
But yet they'll fly around, right?
Crazy, insane propulsion systems and stuff. Because there's enough video evidence now that we can't deny that there isn't something out there. But what is it? That's my real question. And if it's not aliens, who all knows who has what? You know what I mean? Because part of the UFO or UAP not documentary, the report that came out a few years ago, they were like, part of this information we can't release to the public because some of the information reveals our level of technology in terms of like how well we're able to surveil things. And if that's true, what else is true in terms of the technology?
Right.
But I want it so bad. All right. What about you?
Oh yeah.
Dominic, what do you?
Oh, here, no. Sorry, go ahead, Austin.
No. A sports one. Actually, I have two. So a sports one. I honestly just think the refs didn't want Ohio State in 2019 to beat Clemson. I honestly think that.
Wow.
When you look at first Sean Wade's hit on Trevor Lawrence, and he ducked, and everyone knows he freaking ducked. When you have a 6'4" quarterback, and you have to tackle him, and he ducks, and he's obviously Sean Wade's height, then, like, what do? Do you just try to get lower? Like, no, you're gonna go into him. And then the football, supposedly the non-football move, that they took the touchdown away. Everyone, then what is a football move? Everyone doesn't know what a football move is. Like, that stood out to me as, like, they just didn't want Ohio State beating Clemson that year. They didn't. Granted, Justin Fields threw that interception the very last play. Okay, so be it. But those two crucial plays that happened during that last half of the game, like, but maybe that's not a good one, but I think...
No, it's okay. It feels personal. I can feel the pain.
Yeah.
I can feel the pain.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to bring up the football.
Yeah. And then, all right, so I'll say this one, because obviously 9/11 was a real thing. But do you think that the government knew about 9/11 before it happened?
Well, that was something that they've said. The issues with that were the various policing and intelligence agencies not communicating with each other. If that was handled differently, that wouldn't have happened. I really can't say, because I was reading something the other day, and there was the part of the Pentagon that was like, oh, there's $2 billion missing from the defense budget, and then the strike happened right after that. Is interesting, but I don't know if it's a big enough anecdote to be like, oh.
And
I don't know, like, it'd be absolutely awful.
Right.
It would be absolutely awful.
I'll never say it wasn't real. Obviously, it was real. Like,
yeah, there's no way it wasn't real.
But what I am saying is, there's a lot of information out there from 9/11 that's hidden. Like, we don't. Obviously, we know a lot, but like, did they know about it? Did they think anything was going to happen? I don't know. Maybe I'm just gibbering, but like, there's a lot of stuff around 9/11 that I would like cleared up.
Okay. Mallory?
Aliens. I do. But part of me... So, I'm a very faith-driven person. And...
Mallory might have to sit a little closer to your recording device.
Oh, am I not? Sorry. I've been lounging while y'all was discussing.
Okay.
I'm a very faith-driven person. So I want, like, I believe, like, I would want to believe that we're the only ones, you know, and that God only made us and, like, the animals and just the earth, and there's just a lot of things that don't make sense to me, though, as far as, but I mean, that's also, there's a lot of things that have happened, like, throughout even the stories in the Bible, that are like miracles, you know, and I do believe that aliens are real. Just because of the things that are on Earth right now, like the pyramids, like how, I'm sorry, but how your podcast, I can't remember what episode it was, I think maybe episode 2, maybe, the one with the pyramids, and you guys were discussing with the lasers.
First one.
That was the first one? Okay.
Yeah.
I just remember watching that, and when you guys were discussing how certain markings were made on the stones, or the big, massive rocks, how they did that, how they even, you know, were able to lug all that stuff in, like the materials, the type of technology that they supposedly had, and how it doesn't match up to, you know, the type of tools they actually had, and like the markings that are on some of these rocks. That just, like, that baffles me. There's that, oh my gosh, what is the rocks that I think they're in Ireland or Iceland? They're like the
Stonehenge, maybe?
Yeah.
Or the Easter Island heads.
Or they look like faces.
Well, there's that, but there's also, like, just those, like, the massive stones, and they're, like, in a circle.
Oh, Stonehenge.
They're like, okay, I think that is Stonehenge. How they brought that in, there's no way any animal can bring that in. And also be set up in that certain way. Because, I mean, regardless, it's in, like, a perfect circle. Right? Isn't it a perfect circle?
I don't remember the exact...
I think it's like some type of...
Regardless.
That's in England, isn't it?
Oh, I thought it was in Ireland.
I'll look it up real quick.
Wherever it is. I still think it's insane that back then they were able to do that. Build the pyramids. I mean, just the technology. I also wonder...
England.
If how they thought about the like the gods. There's I think it's on either Ancient Aliens or something, one of those shows. They talk about how there's evidence that suggests that the gods, like their gods that they talk about, like the actual people talk about, is in reference to the aliens. I don't know if you guys saw
Yeah,
one of those.
I've seen certain things that look like, but I don't know. It's so hard to, because we don't have any context around stuff like that, you know? Because
there's a hieroglyphic of airplanes, jets, and helicopters, and flying saucers. Hold on. I'm gonna look this up.
Well, while you look it up, I do want to say.
Okay, you guys go ahead.
I do see that actually. In Seti's temple that are over 3,000 years old. This looks pretty cool. Let me see if I can find a way to share my screen with you real quick.
I saw that and I was like, that is bonkers.
Also trying to do this for the first time while I'm live is probably not the best idea. If this loads.
You ever gonna put Dad on your podcast?
If he wants to come
Papa
on.
Mills?
But one thing I
popped on, Robert.
one thing I wanna say. Okay, yeah. So this right here. I mean, that looks like a helicopter to me. That looks like an airplane to me.
How do you draw that with rocks? Like, do you see the angles of that?
Egypt. What does that mean?
I'm not sure. But one thing I want to say that we're not, you know, from this view in the year of 2023, how many people do you know that work on stone? None. I don't know any people that work on stone. Back then, that was in a pharaoh's temple. That's a huge honor. Those people spend their entire lives mastering that craft. They learn from someone who had been doing it for their whole life. I mean, granted, I really want these things to be true. I want it to be this thing that we don't even, this power, this being we can't even recognize, but we don't have that context. Like,
No, we don't.
Imagine we're living in that time frame. We don't know, like, our sense of individualism has grown massively since that time frame. Just, you know what I mean? Like, there is the possibility that this boy, imagine you're 6 years old and you're like, there's nothing that would make me happier than to live forever, really be immortalized by what you've carved or what you've worked on and this sort of thing. It's a passion project.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's possible, just as possible as anything else.
And to your point, I think that was one I was kind of afraid of saying. Is time travel really, really real? And, like, are there multiple dimensions?
Simpsons.
Well, that too, because the Simpsons have called literally everything that's happened in this world. But is time travel, like, really real? Like, is there, like, another me in the dimension somewhere? Is there another one of you guys in the dimension somewhere? Like, it's weird to think about. Or even if you could time travel and go back in time, like, I wouldn't do anything to obviously change anything, but, like, would you? No, seriously, I wouldn't, because, like, think about it. Like, it would change. It would change a lot. I would kind of, like, sit back and view it, you know, like. Yeah,
time travel as a concept is incredibly interesting, and it would be really cool. But, like, I don't know, the butterfly effect is something that I always think of when I think of time travel. Like,
I agree.
You could step on a bug, and all of a sudden we're all
the whole world changes when you get back.
Yeah, the whole world changes. All right, so this has went on quite a bit longer than I intended it to. I'm so happy that we did this. I want this to be something that we can do on the regular. Make it a whole family affair.
Can I say something before we leave?
Sure.
And you're gonna be like, holy crap. So, you know the saucers that we see, like, floating through the air, like, on social media sometimes, when people say they see a UFO, what if that's people time traveling?
Ooh, your
right there.
And then the government has to step in take them down to Area 51, say, "What the hell are you guys doing?" And they go like, it's.
That could explain people's deja vu, though. To a certain extent, there's times
Elaborate. Elaborate.
There's literally times where I will be. I mean, I feel like you guys, you're telling me you've never experienced deja vu before.
I have, but I don't think that's because of time travel.
But I'm just saying, what if it like goes hand in hand? Like, what if that's why sometimes we experience that? You know, like, dang, I did this before. Like, man, this happened before. You know,
that's fair.
That could be a total shot in the dark. You know, like a total like.
Now watch. What if I solve?
That's a cool idea.
What if I solve
Austin's
something?
gonna be missing tomorrow.
And I'm gonna be missing tomorrow somewhere. I just know. Tell Dad.
What if? Austin, what if it was a doppelganger, man? I mean, just or a skinwalker.
Future you comes down. Listen, if time travel is possible and future Dom has to come down and stop me from doing some of the silly things I'm doing, we're gonna have some problems. Okay.
Yeah.
We're gonna have some problems.
I guess that my question to you, Don, would be: would you stop it? Would you listen to him? You're gonna listen to a guy.
It depends on what they. It depends on what they tell me to do.
Are you just gonna listen to a guy claiming to be your future self?
Yeah, I don't know. Like I've met a few crazy drunk people before. They might say something. They might say something wild, like, "Oh, I'm you 20 years in the future. Don't do this." all right, pal. Put the bottle down. I've seen you tell 4 people that already. Oh.
Golly.
Oh wow, Austin! Actually, the article that I clicked about the hieroglyphics, a line in that says, "Some say that the recent discovery of ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics could prove that time travel existed." Funny concept.
No.
I don't know. We'll have to. Maybe we'll know someday. Maybe we'll never know. Who knows?
I think if we do, I don't think it'll be in our lifetime. I don't think we're not there yet. I mean, it is, but like I think we just broke the whole alien thing, like, and it took us this long.
Did we?
Who knows?
I don't know. We're seeing this guy in Mexico pulling out these.
Yeah, what? I saw your video about that.
He's,
like,
if we're at a stage where, but I don't know, we're seeing more stuff about it than ever.
Listen,
but we've.
If that was
there's
real,
a lot of
ET's
people that are
real.
fraudsters out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't know.
The movie was based on a true story.
Yeah, we're gonna have
Golly.
to. There's gonna be some time. Like for every David Fravor story, for every David Grush story, there's the guys that are just trying to get famous or trying to make money off of it, and I just I'm always I don't know. I'm a bit of a skeptic as much as I want it to be true. All right. Does anybody have any messages they want to get out or anything they want to say before we hang things up?
I really enjoyed this, guys. We should keep doing it. I know we've been talking about this literally since we started the podcast. So I'm glad that we were finally able to do it. And maybe next time
I might be able to publish this just by itself. I thought that this was going to be like a 20-30 minute thing. I could just add at the end of episodes. Maybe Life Advice will just be its own episode.
Dominic, I really enjoy your podcast. I listen to a new episode every single day it comes out. I'm probably the first one to listen to it because my job starts early at 5 a.m. on Monday morning. I'm always probably the first one to listen to it. I love your podcast, man. This is a great time. I would definitely love to come back on the show.
Okay, awesome. I'm really glad that we did this. So we're gonna have to do it again. After this, we'll coordinate, figure out a time we could do it again. Okay.
Yeah, man.
Thank you guys so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Dominic.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Dominic Mills Podcast. If you enjoyed the episode, please leave a 5-star rating or review wherever you listen to the show. If you want to send your prompts into Life Advice, you can submit them to the Reddit Life Advice thread, or give them to me personally at TheDominicMillsPodcast@outlook.com. If you can, please give the show a follow on Instagram and TikTok at TheDominicMillsPodcast. That's all for me. Make sure to stay safe and stay curious.